So we've got a small one today, but a sweet one none the same. Aardman's contribution to Cartoon Network's Over the Garden Wall. I've never watched the show that this short originates from. I'm a bit past checking out new cartoons these days, unless it's for a video, and since this is just about Aardman, I just want to focus on this short. But from what little I've seen, it looks like a nice, sweet little show. But we're not here to discuss that. We're here to discuss the short made by Aardman that ties into the show. It's always really surreal to hear American voices come out of Aardman animation puppets.
Greg, can you just cut down on some of the nonsense?
Though, granted, the stop-motion style of this short is a very different kind of thing from Aardman's traditional fare. It sort of looks like the animation from old stop-motion shows like Bagpuss or The Clangers, but updated to look more modern. It's really interesting and fascinating to see this style in the modern day, especially with much higher frame rates than those shows and much more detailed puppets. The animation on the painted faces is really good. They have a really good cadre of expressions and it syncs up really well with the dialogue, though I think these were done with digital animation techniques, so not exactly as impressive, but it still looks great. And one thing I really like about this short is how it really immerses you in nature, very much like what Robin did, but even then that was more so suburban garden nature. This is more pure nature. And like the last time, it's really interesting to see Aardman do this sort of atmosphere, where they usually stick to more down-to-earth domestic stuff or really wacky and surreal environments. And for such a quick short, it really draws you into the moody and magical feel of this woodland world. I love it. It really reminds me a lot of Wind of the Willows, especially the 80s Cosgrove Hall version, which fittingly Wallace's voice actor was also in.
Villainous weasels. I'll learn them.
Granted, how much of that is due to Aardman or the writers of the original show is something I can't tell, but Aardman always put their best into everything, even if they're just goons for hire on someone else's passion project, and I always love them for that. The fact that the puppets look like they're actually hand-carved from wood is a really charming touch, like how you can see the fingerprint marks on the plasticine puppets in their more traditional stuff. The fact that these actually look like they were carved with a knife out of a block of wood is a really charming feature. Although, like with the fingerprint thing, these were probably done with more modern techniques, so they were likely 3D printed. But still, it's a really nice touch to make it look more natural. The final shot with all of them on the mini stage is super cute too. Reminds me a lot of some of the local theatre productions I've helped on in the past. The lighting is also gorgeous, a lot more ambitious than Aardman normally goes for, and it looks amazing. It really gives you that warm, comforting feeling. You may have noticed I've not really talked much about the plot, and that's because there's not really much to talk about in that regard, but that's because it's not about the plot, it's about the atmosphere and the experience of the short, and I really like that. Though, as I said before, my lack of connection of the series that it comes from means I can't really appreciate as much what's going on, but as a complete outsider, it's still a lot of fun. Overall, from the outside looking in, it's a fun little short. Like I said, I have zero connection with the source material. It's really sweet and nice to see Aardman experimenting with new technologies and styles, but they've been doing that and working for hire for others for as far back as when the company first started, and we'll be looking at some of the examples of those next time.